what does the idea of death mean legally? Like how do we define death and
Yeah.
how do we define birth? Well, we know, Cam, that when you're born, you're
Born.
given a birth certificate. When you're birthed, when you're born, you're given a birth certificate.
Yes, which is essentially not you. That's literally creating another entity, like the
It
straw man,
certainly
right? The
is.
all caps straw
Yes,
man,
fuck yes.
all that kind of stuff. And that is owned by a corporation, right? A corporation who own dead people. And this, the whole legal system, you all probably know it, they only deal with dead people. But the thing is that if you have a look at, and I got this off Mookie, if you have a look at the cards in your wallet, you'll see that they've all got different names. One might be your initial and your surname. One
Mm,
might be your full name. One might be your first and second name
yep.
with your middle initial. All different. And what that means is they're all different identities that have been created. So
Yes.
for every person that actually exists, there could be nine other ones with the same name, essentially, who are just made up, just
Your
ghosts.
ghosts.
Mm,
Your own personal ghosts. So it's so interesting because I actually asked the question the other night to myself, like, when we're born and given this birth certificate and become like a legal fiction, um, are we born into debt or are we born as an asset? Are we born automatically into debt or are we born automatically into profit? And the answer that I got to is that we're born as debt. We're born as debt. And if we play the game properly and be a good human being, we will become profitable. Our legal entity will become profitable. If we do all the right things, go get a car loan, a mortgage, open bank accounts,
buy a
go get
car, pay
education, all the
tax.
shit, go pay superannuation and taxes, we become a profitable asset. But if you're on the dole and don't do any of those things and never really own that much, then you would potentially be a fictional
Mm,
debt
yeah,
and
yeah.
retain. They don't love you guys. They don't love you that much. It's funny because that's where all the artists generally tend to live in this realm.
Mm,
Somewhere in that way. I did for many years, of course, as I'm assuming most of us have.
mm.
Um, so what happens when you die? What happens when you die legally? I mean, and what one of you dies? So the human dies, and then what does that mean to your legal entity? Because so much is not accounted for in death, Campbell. Like honestly, when I started to look into it, there's like superannuation industry and the insurance industry.
Yeah.
They rake in like hundreds of billion, almost like the industry of death is a quadrillion-dollar industry. Quadrillion-dollar industry, accounting mainly for all of the legal assets and legal profits and legal associations that you have as your birth certificate,
Mm. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
with insurances and superannuation, for example, shitloads, billions
Mm.
just don't get claimed, don't get access, and just get redistributed throughout the network. Like so much of it, way more than we potentially have ever imagined.
Yeah, yeah, and we're all worth something. We're all our sweat equity goes in to produce all these, taxes and blah blah blah. But also like sovereigns of countries actually um, should receive that their percentage of the wealth of the country they're in, which is all the exports, all the trade, all that kind of stuff that we see going offshore. That's all held in trust, a lot of that stuff.
Mm.
So the way that they can access that wealth and those trusts is at death, right?
Oh, it's so crazy. I got so I've got actually got some numbers here. I'll just find it in a minute. But essentially, when your birth certificate's registered, you guys probably don't know this, but it gets registered with the Department of Commerce. Did you know that?
No, they're the
The
common
Department of
people, are we?
Commerce.
The commoners.
So imagine then if we've got like seven ghost versions of us. We've got a ghost version with Medicare. We've got a ghost version with the ATO. We've got a ghost version with Centrelink. We've got a ghost version with our bank accounts. We've got a ghost version with our mortgage. We've got all these things we don't often with our utilities company. Like every service that you're with your rates, land and rates taxes, with your car register, all of these are like little ghost beings of yourself.
Mm,
that are, walking around and living your life for you, essentially. And then you, the human being, has to extend all the energy to trade for the money to pay for the debt. So you as a human being are giving all your time and energy to basically funding these ghosts, if you like, which is really fucking weird and superly ironic. Like, how weird is this? This is such a fucking weird game we're in. This is a weird reality, Cam. Like this, that is so weird.
mm.
Don't you? How did like diabolically clever and terribly weird?
Therapy wheel. Who came up with this, man? It's
Weird.
crazy.
Fucking what?
But I mean, they're into necromancy, right? Like they're into death. It's a death cult. We've heard this before, and you look at the major, religious practices, and they're all based around weirdness, dead people on crosses and things, and death, right? But that's
Oh,
what they deal in. That's what a corporation is, right? The corpse. The mortgage, right, is the death pledge. It's all about death, 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 and debt, debt, debt. And yeah, so they're literally creating all these alternate us's, NPCs maybe, right? And you don't see
yeah.
them walk down the street, but they exist on paper and they may exist, in the digital realm as well, right? And they just create all these, made up people. And unless we come back and claim that we're alive and standing in front of them, well, they just hold all that stuff in trust and milk us for all we got, basically.
Basically, we are a trust. We're our own trust. When we're born, we're a trust. Exactly. All right, I'll give you some stats, right? And then we'll get back to the discussions about the bodies through history. So, this is Australia specific. So, in Australia, superannuation and retirement accounts. So, all that unclaimed super gets absorbed by the state. Obviously, all the trust managers, ultimately by BlackRock, and then ultimately by the Jews. It all gets absorbed. Boom. Could that this have no doubt? It is a JUEW industry
Yeah,
here, of
yeah, yeah,
course.
yeah, for sure.
Um,
I mean, the head
estimated
of
in
BlackRock is,
Australia per year,
sorry,
just in the absorption of unsaved super, $16 billion. That's in
unclaimed
unclaimed super that goes
a
back into the
year.
system a
Wow.
year. Life insurance payouts. So if no one claims them, which happens way more than people think, then they're held in trust, invested, or absorbed. Oh, okay, so this is interesting, right? And this basically will probably
Oh.
make the whole thing make sense. Is that when you can have a statistic that says you have a mortality rate of this much and a birth rate of this much, that actually then, because the way the governments have been set up by the same people, right? That sways the amount of funding, inverted commas, that go towards those industries. So the more people dying, then the aged care sector gets massive injections, right, of cash and capital. It becomes like on paper. So in aged care sector alone in Australia, $30 billion a year. It's a $30 billion a year industry just alone, and that's all based on projected deaths. Right? So
Projected
the more
death.
projected deaths they can create, the
Yes.
more that industry grows. So the more births they create and therefore projected deaths, phew, so much money, so much money.
Interesting. What about
Obviously,
jails? Jails
well,
like 9,000 person, 9,000 what a day was it? Do they get paid like these Serco prisons and that? $9,000 a day for holding a prisoner.
is that per prisoner?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's such a big
It's
industry. Oh my
astronomical
God.
numbers, man.
Ah, dear. All right, I'm moving down to my stat information. Um, all right. So trust bonds on dead people, right? So your birth certificate doesn't just vanish if you die, by the way. It just doesn't legally. It doesn't vanish if you die. Oh, he's a bit tired because we're doing this at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, unusual time. Light up a joint, man. Get into it. All right. So, all right. So if the person dies, but no liquidation happens, that all goes in, remains in the trust, right? Like a zombie trust. That's their legal word. A zombie
Is
trust.
that what
I
it's
mean, get
called? A
fucked. You
zombie
can't.
trust?
A zombie trust. Honestly, anyway, so each trust may be valued between, and this is according to all your ghosts, right? 502 million over a lifetime. But that's all of this, like that's all the assets that are creating profit for the industry. So your birth is generally speaking, an average human being is sitting between 500 and 2 million. Even if in your actual lifetime you knew nothing about this money and never had any sort of anywhere near that sort of money. Anyway, all right, so if all right, in Australia, if 180,000 people die per year, for example, that ends up being in potential trust liquidation assets 360 billion in just Australia alone. This is so
Wow.
crazy.
This is how they're getting their billions and trillions, right?
Yep.
Like we used to talk about millionaires being rich. Now, a millionaire is someone who just owns a house, right? It's billionaires and trillionaires. We're going to start saying trillionaires, man. And it's ridiculous,
Yes. Oh
right? A
my
billion
God.
compared to a million is just, and then a trillion. You can't even,
Quad,
like,
and then a quadrillion. Don't
can't,
think I've ever said that word in my life, Campbell. A
no,
quadrillion.
man,
I've
a
never needed to
trillion.
go to such. I mean, when you talked, when I think of things like quadrillions or trillions, that's like another dimension to me. That's
Mm.
just like, it
Well,
doesn't
you
even
can't
exist.
imagine it. You just
Well,
can't.
because it can't exist.
Yeah, like if you get like $100 bills and stack them on just on top of each
Yeah,
other, $1 million is about a meter high. A
it just can't
billion dollars
exist.
is like a 20-story building. So a trillion, I mean, who knows?
So I mean, then we look at sort of the idea, okay, well, what our eyes show us is that the world is definitely not overpopulated. This is what our eyes show us.
Yeah.
If we go anywhere in the world, you will fly for a long time. And you will fly over a lot of land and water, but a lot of land, and there's not anyone there. You will
Yeah.
fly for a long time over a lot of land that doesn't have anyone living on it. I mean, which you can tell, And then, like, if it's
Mm.
based on Australia, for example, you can drive around Australia in like a year and see like everything, and you will notice that there's hardly any people in this country.
Mm. Totally, totally, man. It's the same everywhere until you hit the cities, obviously, where they pack everyone into a small space. But apart from that, everywhere that I've been, everywhere that you've been, overseas, nobody's crowded apart from the actual cities.
Well, India was crowded.
Well, India, I
Uh,
haven't
the,
been to India, so yes,
But I
India.
mean, not that you're right. It's actually only the cities. Like he's right
Mm.
there. Like there is population hubs, obviously little kingdoms, little kingdoms in our current realm that
Okay.
have a lot of people in them, you
Mm.
know. And like I saw that in India and I saw that in Cairo.
Mm.
I didn't see it anywhere in China, not even in the big cities, anywhere. Did it ever feel overcrowded? Everything felt sparse and undercrowded. Um, Morocco and Jordan completely undercrowded. And for the most part, Egypt. Egypt was just Cairo itself, that tiny little epicenter in Egypt. But apart from that, you're traveling vast lands to go and see this realm. It is 100% to our eyes not overcrowded.
Mm.
But what do they benefit from the program of overpopulation? Like, how many of
Well,
their agendas are
yeah, well,
based
yeah,
on
exactly.
that
Climate
idea?
change, right? And all the
Ugh,
carbon tax stuff that's going
ugh,
on, all this stuff they're bringing in, all these rules, all the tracking, electric cars, like all this crap.
yep.
Right? Because it's all our fault. Cows farting, so they're killing them off, trying to push fake meat. Like it's never
Oh,
ending.
we're running out of food. We're
Running out
running
of
out of food,
food,
except like the
oil,
food
running out of
wastage.
oil.
Food wastage is at like fucking all-time high.
Hmm.
Like food wastage is insane. People are living off the food, but we're running out of
Oh,
food. We're
yeah,
running out of places to farm. We can't do it. We're going to have to step in with scientific industrial solutions. Like
problem,
whatever.
reaction, solution, man.
There's no places for new homes. We're running out of land. We certainly can't expand cemeteries in any capacity. So, I mean, it really does underplay to have a big birth and death population statistic. It underplays every single one of their agendas. So then we can absolutely be certain those statistics are only being offered, not in truth, but to serve an agenda, like every fucking other thing in our lives.
Hmm. Totally, totally, totally,
What
totally.
makes it what makes it so ironic, man, is that we're dealing with ghosts. I mean, that just
It's a
blows my
ghost
mind.
round, man. There's a
That is
ghost in the
like,
machine. Yeah,
It's so
yeah, I
fucking
know, right?
wild.
But we're stopping cows farting because we're overpopulated with ghosts and fictionary people that only live on paper.
Yep, only live on paper. And when you talk about, when you hear this agenda, as their narrative on it, they'll always say things like, the cities are overpopulated. Like everyone's moving back to the rural locations. The rural locations are overpopulated. There's not enough space anywhere. And yet everywhere we travel, rural, any country is basically underpopulated
Totally.
with your own eyes. That's what you'll see.
Mm-hmm. Totally, man. Totally. So there's no way there's 8 billion people. It's not physical people. There's no evidence for it. And everywhere we look, there's evidence to disprove it, right? Like
Everywhere.
there's not the population, there's not enough people being buried. All this stuff that we hear about, we know there's agendas behind it, and it's just all used to project, profits basically
Yeah.
and restrictions for us, right? More laws because
Now,
we're
like if
buggers.
you if what would be your like your most like what would be your number if you were to give the popular? I mean, I would be sitting at
Yeah,
around 2 billion.
yeah. I'd say sort of 1.5 to 2.
Yeah,
I think at the
yeah.
most.
Wow. So there's
Yeah,
like so let's take 6 billion out of the chain.
Asian. Yeah, yeah. And that
Let's take
changes
six.
everything. They can't push their climate change with that agenda with that. And there was that guy who got all the populations of all the cities, the biggest cities, and then every city over 100,000, and then he sort of worked out how many towns, and I think he came up with like I think was it 1.2 or something billion,
Mm,
like way
mm,
down there, just going off the
way
stats that they give
down.
us, right?
Yeah. Way
And
down. So
so
if we got it down to 2 billion and take out 6 billion, just to be very conservative about this, guess how much that would be in loss? If just today, if it was shown that this is all bullshit and all the ghosts were taken out of it, the loss to the financial institutes that like love this shit, 3 quadrillion. 3 quadrillion in potential, I guess we call them phantom funds, potential
yeah,
phantom wealth. 3 quadrillion. And then you've
zombie,
got to
zombie
say,
dollar.
wow, like if you look at fucking crypto, and isn't it funny that crypto is called crypt?
Yes, yeah, it is from encrypted, but yes, it is crypt. Yes.
I mean, come on, we've got basically maybe 6 billion ghosts that are funding the economy, and those 6 billion ghosts, if removed, become 3 quadrillion dollars,
Mm.
whatever the fuck that is. Because when I say 3 fucking quadrillion dollars, it makes me think of freaking mining for crypto in the fourth fucking dimension of this crazy concept of this new economy. Like it is so crazy, man.
Well, it shows you how easy it is for them to manipulate all these money markets and stock markets if they're playing with three-quarters of the population that don't exist. If they've got all that population to say
Fucking
to
hell.
buy and sell stuff, then they can just play with the markets, right? They can make crypto go up and they can make it crash, which they do.
Yep.
So they're playing with strawmen, man. It is the zombie apocalypse, right? We just can't see them.
My God, I know. So they filled in the concept of the zombie apocalypse with their lovely little movies, but in reality, it is the
It
zombie
is.
apocalypse because it's like there's 7 zombie versions of Kelly out there. One called Medicare Kelly, one called fucking ATO Kelly, one called Passport Kelly. All
Mm.
them out there just acting as my little zombie crew, my little ghost crew, costing me time and effort, but like funding. So literally what we're saying is that our entire economy is funded of phantoms, which makes crypto and the whole crypto Bitcoin market makes so much more sense because it all feels like fiction. It all feels like one mass fucking delusion.
Created out of nothing, right? But this is how they're gaining their wealth, right? It's all this perceived wealth and futures trading and blah, blah,
Oh
blah.
my
But literally,
God.
it's all built off our backs, and they're just, yeah, I mean, it's a crazy story.
It's
They're
a fucking
just
crazy story.
multiplying us and multiplying us because they can make money when they do it. And then
Man,
when
like,
they
come
get
on.
rid of the
This
birth
is fucking,
certificate, they cash in.
come on, guys. Like, if you guys, if
Yeah.
like, to think about this, like, to sit down and have a proper chew on it. My God, this game that we're in, this thing that we're in, it's just so, I mean, it's so hyper imaginative from the diabolical perspective. Like, we're
Mm.
we're sitting in the world run by a mad psychopathic fucking
He needs a cat.
mastermind, because like
Mm.
our entire economy that keeps us working and enslaved and in debt
Mm.
from
It's
birth
it's like
is
it's just like all these supervillains that we see in their crazy,
oh my
crazy
God.
schemes they come up
It's so
with to steal all
funny.
the money from the world and that. And that's literally what's happening. But it's crazier. It's even
It's
crazier.
crazier.
Remember
All right.
Superman when the dude tried to he went and he found all the like the fractions of cents that were floating around. So
No,
like when
that
people
sounds
buy
fun.
things and you end up with a percentage of a cent, and he went and found them all. And it was millions of this was back in the 80s, it was millions of dollars. And he stole it and became a big supervillain. But this is what they're doing. Like you can't have quarters of cents, right? They don't exist. And he was finding them though, and he was making money. And this is what they're doing. They're getting stuff that doesn't exist, and they're turning it into other stuff that doesn't exist, called
Which
money that is not gold backed, right? Fiat.
Well, I mean, they took history that doesn't exist and
They
turned it
took
into
it.
the education system. They
Yeah.
take food that doesn't exist and package it pretty pictures. Like it's just this is their thing. They're
Mm.
mimics and copies. So I just don't think everyone's really associated the concept of life and death to be so integral to this concept. Like
It's all
the
about
ghosts.
profit and profits,
Yeah.
right? I mean, because what do we have in the Bible and other books is we have prophets, right? Jesus
Fucking
was a
prophets.
prophet.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so true. Oh,
Mm.
that's so true. Fucking excellent. Yes, we have lots of prophets in the Bible.
Mm. Quite
I
prophetic,
think
right?
I think it's the highest grossing book in the world. Think it's made more money. We should have a look at how much money the
Made
Bible's
more
made,
than
but
Harry Potter, man.
yeah, I mean, it's full of prophets. That's
It's full of
fucking for
profits.
sure. In fact, any book full of prophets makes a
Yeah,
very good sum of money.
good profit, man. Yeah, you get the
But
right profit and you'll get the right profits.
so, all right, yeah, that's true. The better the profit, the
The
better the
better the
profit.
profits.
So, all right, so we've got this like crazy concept of basically a ghost population. And we can see like we could spend hours validating that by following who benefits from it. But ultimately it's
Mm.
going to get you through all the sort of state organizations into the governments and then into the corporations, through the banks into the corporations. So it's all the same story. There's no special new character in this or anything. This is like, except for our new ghost and phantom fucking family that follow us around.
Casper and his crew.
Yes. So then we have to say, like, when we look at history from the perspective of death, from the perspective of bodies, and we ask where are the bodies, like we can say that most of them never existed in the first place. That no one is, that there's an agenda to form a narrative to basically keep you programmed to like fear death, to program to fear death, that how many, that you are just a weak, that you're lucky to be alive, is what they're trying to say. You're lucky you made it this far. Look at all these other people that have died and you didn't die. You didn't get raped and slaughtered and beheaded. You haven't done that. You're so lucky. You're alive. So bless your lucky stars and
Yeah,
happily just pay
thank
your
you.
taxes because you're in a good country and you're alive and you haven't died yet. We haven't killed you yet. And look at all the other people through history that died. Like history is full of die. You go through any of the school books from any grade. And those kids are being taught about essentially unconsciously about the amount of people who have died in the past.
Mm. Yeah, but again, where are all the bodies?
Yeah. All right. So
Where
they
are
don't. So let's just assume that that was ridiculous
bullshit?
and
Yeah.
things
And of course we know the
people.
time factor's wrong. We know they push time right out. So that just doing that
Yep.
creates another billion bodies that don't exist,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. But if we like bring it back in to what we can observe sort of in the last couple of hundred years, like um, one's going to say that this is the business of death for them. And when did they start introducing birth certificates? Do you know that question? I don't know. Have a look. I don't even know the answer to that.
I think it
When
was
did the birth
the over
certificate become a
100s.
thing? Because people used to bury their bodies in their backyards, and you
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
have generations of body. But then, if you trust what's happening with history from one perspective, no one gets to stay in their backyard for very long. Not the way the game is rigged. You get moved on as often as possible. They love moving you on. Who introduced them? Could we
Well, I
trace it back
mean,
to who? But it
I
doesn't
think
matter
it'd be
because of
people who
that.
know about boats, right? It's all about maritime and birth, like a boat birth.
Yep, yep. And the birth in the court. Okay, so, but
Because,
here's the wild card, Cam. Here's something. This is the wild card. We can account for mainstream history, right? And tell and say that it's all been inflated and no one could account for it anyway. But when it comes to this concept of giants, and any sort of potential mythical non-human being that walked amongst potentially the populations, the humans. Like
mhm.
if we just take it back, just only, 100 years, we don't often find, I mean, I know that there's obviously the potential that they find things that we'd ever hear about. But we ourselves don't often find like anything that would represent anything of the past in our ground. We don't often find, well, we don't find the
Yeah,
skeletons
yeah.
of unusual creatures or the gigantic skeletons. I mean, I've seen pictures on the internet. So either they have found some or
Yeah, well, we do
that's
have the
fake.
Smithsonian in there, but so I've heard they've found, some giant bones. But yeah, like with cryptids and unicorns and things. I mean that, there is that weird museum that has fairies in it. So there's kind of a couple, but I mean, it's the same with people. If these were populations of creatures, there should be lots and lots and lots, right?
I mean, come on. What about all the animal bodies? What about all the things? I mean, come on. Like if we're being
Well, it was
taught that
like we
we've
were
got a
talking about,
history,
yeah, last week we were talking about birds. Like birds don't live very long, right? There's lots and lots and lots of them, but how often do you see a dead bird? Like you don't, right? You think they should be everywhere, kind of.
it's true, Campbell. We don't often see a dead bird. We don't often see dead animals. In fact, most people only see dead animals on the road.
Mm.
Honestly, if you think about your whole lifetime here in Australia, when have you seen a dead animal that's not a pet? Like that, usually it's roadkill, and that's usually the death that occurs in front of your face. But if
Mm.
you just walk through the bush or walk through the farm, or walk anywhere, you're not going to encounter many dead animals. At least not in relation to the amount that we would think we
There should
would. At
be,
least
yeah.
skeletons.
And everyone will say, oh, well, they get eaten quickly, and yeah, not, a lot of them would, because we're
So,
talking like a lot of animals, because they're all short-lived as well, right? They have
yep.
10 life cycles in
Billions,
one. Yeah.
trillions.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So that's the wild card. Like, it's not just that there's a fabricated ghost population. It's just that there's also a realm that doesn't have evidence of much actual death.